Well, we're less than a week into spring training, full spring training with both the teams, full teams in camp. And we already have some injuries and we have some news. We have owners yelling at the fans, all types of stuff going on. So, no, not a dull moment in baseball in South Florida in spring training so far, as the Yankees, Stanton came into camp with 2 tennis elbows. So, how he got tennis elbow on both elbows, I don't know, but he's got it. He's always got some kind of injury. He'll come up around for the postseason and hit his 7 home runs, but you will be looking to throw him off the team for the 6 months before the postseason because he stinks and he's old and he can't play and he doesn't play the defense and he's always hurt. As far as the Mets go, one of their new acquisitions, an offseason signing, Frankie Montas, out 6 to 8 weeks with a torn lat on his pitching hand, on his pitching arm. So, already issues going on. 6 to 8 weeks is not the end of the world in February. It doesn't sound like the end of the world in February, but it's longer than you think because it's 6 to 8 weeks will bring you into right around opening day. And then that's when he's going to start his spring training. So that's a whole nother month. You're looking at like June for Frankie Montas. And, they spent $30 million on him. And now he came in, he threw 1 bullpen session and see you in June. So, we're back to the Mets being the Mets, and, it is what it is. But it could be worse. It could be, it could have been a position player. It could have been Soto. It could have been Alonso. It could have been, Senga or anything. Could have been Alvarez. It could have been Lindor. It's not. Now, there's still a long way to go. Hopefully, if they could get out of camp and out of South Florida with just this, successful spring training, as far as I'm concerned. And that's what you're trying to do. It's just like football camp, you're just trying to avoid these injuries because they're just nightmares. The games don't count. The games don't matter. Take your batting practice, do your wind sprints, loosen your arm up, and that's it. You can't be having these injuries and coming in because you can't start the season like you did last year if you're the Mets. God forbid. That season was going down the drain. It was a 1 in a million that they dug themselves out of that hole. So now they're a better team this year. And we had, of course, Uncle Steve sat down with Howie, and he did the whole thing, told you about how it all came together with Alonso. And it sounds like it was more Steve Cohen wanted Alonso than Stearns did. Stearns was kind of like, whatever, here's my number. We gave him our number. If he wants to come back and take it, he can take it. And if he doesn't, then he doesn't. I don't care either way. Steve Cohen kind of dragged Stearns down to, I think it was Florida, and he hashed it out, and he worked it out. And then he said it was basically him and Alonso talking. Boris didn't say a word. Stearns stayed quiet during the meeting. And he just kind of was like, hey, listen, we were sorry for what we've done. Business is business. We want to offer you a little bit more, nothing crazy, a little bit more. And you could come back home. And Pete took it. And of course, Pete met with the media as well. And he was, he said all the right things. We have a couple clips from it. He was asked about Steve Cohen coming down there and what happened and what that meeting was like. And here's what he had to say.
No secret that David and Steve came down, met with me. So, I thought that was, I respect that so much, and I appreciate that, dealing with people face to face like that. And it was good to kind of hear their perspective and obviously voice mine. And here we are. We're back at it again.
Why did Pete choose the Mets over the other teams?
Me, this was it. Throughout the entire offseason, we had the best dialogue from the Mets, and that was it. And for us, this was the best opportunity, and I'm just really happy to be back.
That can't be true. They didn't have the best dialogue. Mets had no dialogue. They basically told him, take a hike. They gave him an offer they knew he wasn't going to take because they had to, because then they'd get slaughtered by the fans, as they already got slaughtered by the fans. You saw it that amazing day. They're chanting his name, and they need to save face and at least offer him something so they could be like hey, listen, we gave $70 million. Would you have turned down $70 million? And then you could kind of, build, go from there. And then he also talked about, is it going to be a problem in the locker room because of the way things went down and how the Mets treated him in the offseason?
And yeah, negotiations are tough, but hey, that's the business side of it. And but regarding like personal relationships, I think business and personally, you set those aside for sure.
And then finally, unfinished business this year, coming off of last year.
That playoff feeling, playing that high leverage baseball, like that's what it's all about. Like that is the most addicting feel I've ever had, like on a baseball field. And it's just motivation to get back. And no secret that
he's a playoff junkie. He's addicted. He's back to get his drug, which is playoff baseball. And hopefully they can get it. So that's what we got. Hopefully he has a great year. And then, we cut him loose and get Guerrero. Because Guerrero's clearly now not signing with Toronto, right? They came up with their offer. It, of course, was nowhere near the hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars that he's going to be asking for. And then they asked him, "Are you guys close?" And they said, "No, we're not even close." And I don't think they, I think obviously the Mets have the most money, right? So they could just come in and throw as much money as they want at it. And that again, people bitch and moan about the money and, I can't go to games because the prices. Listen, and Steve Cohen even made a comment just a couple days ago about he was a little disappointed that you guys didn't show up to the ballpark last year. He referenced the series against the Nationals, which was right before the series against the Phillies. And the Mets were in the middle of their, roaring back to the playoffs, and it was empty. It was a midweek series. In all fairness, if I remember correctly, it was a little chilly, but still, it was like 20,000 in the ballpark for some of those games. And the people that are online and bitch and moan, what do you want me to do? How am I supposed to afford going to the game with my family? And listen, it's not a right to go to the baseball game. So yes, there are going to be some people who can't afford to go to a baseball game. It's entertainment. But don't sit there and act like it's going to put you in the poorhouse either. You can get tickets for $9 on StubHub. I don't care what game it is. If it's not opening day of the Yankees, you get tickets for $9. With fees, $15. Okay? Nobody's telling you have to eat dinner at Citi Field. In fact, if you're smart, you won't eat dinner at Citi Field. Nobody's telling you have to park in the parking lot for $50. The bus, the train, the railroad all go to Citi Field. And if you want to drive and you have to drive, then we all know that there are spots you can park that you don't pay. Right? You can park under the highway over there by where the Grand Central is. You could and you have to walk a little bit, but that's the price, right? You don't want to pay. You don't want to walk. Pay $50. All right. You don't have to have 7 beers at Citi Field. You want to have a beer. You have to have a couple beers. I get it. Have a couple beers in the parking lot. Have a couple beers on the walk from parking under the highway to Citi Field. You could probably rip down 2 beers, right? You don't need to be drinking 30 beers at the Mets game. So you could theoretically go to a Mets game and you're not going to sit in the best seats. Listen, you're not. You don't have a right to sit, 10 rows off the field. That's not a right in this country. It's entertainment. It's going to it's going somewhere, going out. But you can certainly go. It's much, much cheaper, much more affordable than anything else. Sports-wise. It's much cheaper. You want to go see the Rangers, who are not very good, or the Islanders, who are not very good? The Rangers, forget it. The Islanders are still going to cost you $45, $50 a ticket. So I don't want to hear it about it's too expensive, because it's not. You could absolutely go to a Mets game with 4 people for all in under $150. driving from wherever you're driving. As long as you're not going over $20, toll bridges, you can do it for $150, and it's doable. And that's pretty much any night. And don't tell me, I can't go to the Yankee game like that. No, you can't go to the Yankee game like that. It's a supply and demand thing. The people want to go to the Yankee game. But don't tell me I can't go to a baseball game because it's too expensive, because you can. And that was a Tuesday night in September. It was a little chilly, but it was a big game. Much bigger than any of the Yankee games were. Much bigger than opening day was. I don't go to opening day. I think it's a ripoff. I'm not paying $200 to sit and watch a game, probably in the cold, that I could pay $25 for the very next night, and it means exactly the same. I mean, to me, what's the point? I don't need to see them run out and get their name announced and line up on the first and third baseline. I don't need to see that. To me, that's not worth $100. Some people it is. To me, it's not. So, and back to the money thing, no matter how much they pay Guerrero, it's not going to change. It's like when Trump cutting these programs. You think he's cutting all this money and all of a sudden the taxes are going to go down? They're not. The taxes are going to be exactly the same. Right? He's already talking about just giving everybody money. Steve Cohen's not going to give you money, but the price of your hot dog and the beer is not, it is what it is. It's not going down. That's what it is. If you want to pay for it, if you are okay with paying that price, then pay it. If you're not, then don't. Then drink your can of beer on the walk from the highway to the gate. Right? You could do it. You make it work. Make it work. But your price isn't going down no matter how much he pays any of these players. And that's another reason why I would probably go after Quintana now that Montas is down, right? Because this was a big thing. We got Montas, 6-man rotation, and then he has one catch in spring training, and that's it. See you in June. Quintana wanted to come back to the Mets. The price was a little steep. Now it's going to be even steeper because he's got you over a barrel because, now you want me? Okay. It's kind of like the Mets had the same thing the Mets had with Alonso. Oh, now you want to come back? All right, well, this is going to be the price. And that's what he's going to say to the Mets. It's going to be like $33 million. But who cares? Right? Does it matter? If your hot dog price and your beer price and the parking price isn't going down, who cares if he spends $33 million? It's like me spending, $2, $3. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So I don't see why, if we can't replace Montas, who's now out till June, with Quintana for basically not affecting my life as a Mets fan at all, why we wouldn't do that. I don't complain about the 33 million, 35. I would give you 36 just to be nice about it. Right? I mean, come on. You got to replace it. You're going to have a 6-man rotation. This pitching staff is already, you're already on the knife's edge of whether it's going to be, same thing as last year. You think it's going to be, coasting and then happy, and we're going to be, it's not going to be a rough ride with the Mets. You haven't been a Mets fan long enough. They don't have Seaver and Gooden and, all these pitchers and Nolan Ryan pitching for them. They went, shopping for the pitchers the day after, pitchers day, like going shopping today for Valentine's Day chocolate. That's what they did. Half off bin. So it's going to be shaky. You got the closer who's wasn't good the last 2 years, is now 2 years older. So we'll see. But anyway, they're all down there. Yankees are down there. Soto, Lindor almost got drilled with a pitch yesterday. First time he steps in the box. They 98 miles an hour right by his shoulder. Like, come on. Can we not throw at our own captains on the first day of spring training? So that's what's going on. Me and Brett are heading down there in 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. We will be there. Still waiting to hear from the Mets for as far as what access we're gonna get, but we'll be there. So, if you're going down there, come and see us. We got these shirts. I want to show you these. Wait till you see this shirt that I'm wearing. If you're not watching, it's a Pete Alonso tribute shirt, I guess. With the he did it call from Howie Rose, the date, the score. We might not even be a podcast after this. We might just be a t-shirt company. That's how good these t-shirts are. I got my wife making them. She's here. We've turned my apartment, my New York City 1-bedroom apartment, into a sweatshop. And we're pumping out these shirts. She's pumping out these shirts. So that's what we got going on here. But, like I said, it's early. It's week 1. You got an injury on both sides. The Yankees, listen, Stan, you're surprised. He's always hurt. He's always hurt. You thought because he hit 7 home runs last year, that he was going to come in and just be, great and healthy and then 25 years old again? Just like you thought the Mets were going to come in. Oh, now they figured it out. They got Soto. Is just going to be a winning, can't lose, do nothing wrong. No. Stanton's down, double tennis elbow. And our pitcher, one of our pitchers that we just gave $30 million to, is see you in June after 1 catch. So it's saying business as usual down in Tampa and in Port St. Lucie for the Mets and Yankees. So that's what's going on there. We're gonna do another show. I'm gonna try and put something out for the hockey game tonight. As that thing is come on. The NHL figured out the All-Star game, right? You'd scrap them all. This is it. This is better than the NHL regular season. There are 3 fights and they're booing the national anthems. 3 fights in the first 10 seconds. You got a rematch tonight. Canada, USA, in Boston in TD Garden. Tickets going for $900 on the secondary market. NBA in-season tournament. What? Nice try, NBA. You got some guy named McClung passing Michael Jordan for dunk titles, and you're running a garbage in-season tournament. Here comes the NHL. Now, it's only going to last tonight. Right after tonight, it's going to be back to next week when they start playing games again. If you're not in the original 6 cities, it's going to be NHL is back to the back burner. But for tonight and for this week and these 2 weeks, it was great. And we'll talk about that, later in a different quick hits show or whatever I got going. So that does it for us. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Every little bit helps. LockedUpSports.net, LockedUpSports.net. All that going on. YouTube, anywhere you get your podcast, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. I'm Bob Walters from the Brian Gunzel Studios. See ya.